Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
You're well. I appreciate that. You're back at the spot, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. We're going to Edmonton, Canada, up near Alberta. Have you ever been there, Brains? It can get kind of cold, but it's very beautiful. And it's a place that is majestic, it's spiritual, it's light, the air is fresh and clean. I've been there several times. But it's also a place for dream catchers, not dream crushers. And we found one of those people. We found Gregor. Pearl's coming back for the second time. She's been on the show before, and we talked about dreams. Are you a daydreamer? Are you a dream worker? Are you a wishful dreamer? Or do you have nightmares?
I used to have nightmares. I used to have a lot of nightmares, but I healed the nightmares through dream work.
Wow. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Miss Pearl?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain about a thing. Nothing. I'm excited to have you because a lot of people want to know about dreams and again what they actually mean. First, remind my brains how you came to this space, how you woke up from your dreams.
I woke up from a nightmare after I had started nightmares when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
Don't ask me why. And they went on till I was 42. I was desperate. They started when I was 9 years old. It was 1954. I'm 80 years old now. So I've been doing dreams since I'm 43. So that's a very long time. I discovered dreams. My girlfriend said to me one day, I was seeing psychologists and I was hearing voices in 1984 and 85. So one day I was teaching my grade 9 class. I'm a teacher by trade, by profession. And I was a school administrator in those years. Anyway, I was teaching my grade 9 class. When the students came up to me at the end of the class, they said, "Mrs. Gregor, can we talk to you?" I said, "What do you need?" They said, "Oh, it's not us, it's you. Well, you usually make a lot of sense. Today, you didn't make any sense at all. We think you're sick and we think you should go home." So I thought about that for 30 seconds and then I got in my car and went home. On my way, I forgot to pick up my daughter, who was 5 or 6 years old at the time, staying at her babysitter's. I forgot to pick her up. In any case, when I got home, I phoned my husband and said, "Rachel's still at the babysitter's and I've come home." So he came home right from work right away and picked up Rachel, brought her home. Anyway, from there on, he insisted I go back to my psychologist. So I went back. The guy, he changed my medication. He said, "But first you have to go for 2 weeks without any medication." So I went for 2 weeks without it, and the voices were breaking through every day. So that was the start of it. So then my girlfriend said to me on a Sunday, she said, "You've tried everything, Pearl. Why don't you come to my house for meditation?" So I went for meditation, and that was the beginning of. I began to meditate, began to write my journal. One of my brothers thought maybe I was getting into the occult. So in any case, meditation was not very much a thing in those days. It was 1987, 88. In any case, so he sent me a big box of books, and in that box of books was one book called A Christian Approach to Dream Work. And I ordered the book right away. The day it came, I read it. I'm a great reader. I've read my whole bloody life. So I read that book, and it said I could ask for a dream. So I asked for a dream, and I kept asking until one night I got a dream. That was the beginning of the end of my nightmares.
Wow. Now, without going into too much detail or setting up a trigger, what type of things were in your nightmares?
My nightmares was a scarred face. That man chased me and chased me and chased me. As soon as I went to sleep at night, that dream would start. And I would wake up in the morning with my hands bleeding because I would clench my hand. I would try to hang on so desperately. I was like, you've seen the cat hanging on a rail,
right?
Trying not to fall. I was always afraid of falling in my dreams. I fell out of airplanes. I fell off mountains. I fell and I fell and I fell.
And that's the reoccurring dream is what scares you. I've had a reoccurring dream, but what did you uncover as you started to peel back or come from up under the covers of that? What was it a metaphor that it was telling you? Because there wasn't a person there, but you're exhausted after those dreams. Your heart is racing. You really think that you're going to die.
You really are you're very much afraid you're going to die. Everything is black except this man with the scarred face. And he chased me and chased me and chased me. In any case, the first dream I had, I remember waking up in the morning and going, okay, I've had a dream. And I ran for my journal and I wrote it down immediately, because if you don't write it down, you forget it. In any case, that was the beginning of my dream work. And from there, I don't know when I learned what that dream actually meant, because dreams come in symbols. If anybody's read John Sanford, he was a great writer around dreams. Anyway, he talks the language of God in dreams. Said God speaks to us in dreams. We have to understand the symbolism. That he talks in symbols, because he doesn't actually talk in English or French or whatever language you know, but the dreams come as symbolism. In that dream, I was on the 7th floor of my office in the Harley Court building in downtown Edmonton. I worked there as a consultant. In any case, the dream, I walked out of my office, I got into the elevator, and the elevator began to fall. I was surrounded by screaming women, and I'm praying all the way down, Jesus, make it safe. And I'm telling everybody around me, don't worry, we'll be fine. Everything will be fine. That's my approach to life, is everything will be fine. Don't panic, because if I panic, what I do? In any case, that elevator eventually landed in lamb's wool or feathers. And it just landed and it bounced very gently. That was the first time I'd ever landed. The dream is called The Landing, for good reason. Whenever you have a dream, you give it a title that makes sense.
Yeah, because I'll have a dream. A couple things that happen in me in dreams sometimes. I told you about this one dream that I'm trying to take a photograph. I keep trying to take a photograph. The camera will not allow me. Either the battery's dead, or I can't turn the frame around, or I can't press the shutter, or there's nobody there. I don't understand what that is. And as you said to me, maybe the people that I'm trying to take the photograph with, I'm not supposed to be in the photograph with. That made good sense. I wrote down the people, the places, the thing, but it kept reoccurring. Or you'll have the dream that you're falling. And, it's like, oh my God. And it's so real, because it is your subconscious mind coming to your frontal lobe. Am I right?
Yes, it's coming. It comes in REM sleep. That's the only time. They're not really sure where it comes to. It comes to your executive function, we think, because you have to be able to follow the dream. You have to be able to think through the dream. That's your executive function. That does but you can't be too analytical. You have to get that dream goes into your right brain, which is your symbol that creates your symbols for you. Your right brain is your pattern, the patterns that come up in your dreams. It goes into the difficult part of you the artistic part of you that you don't often pay much attention to. Our culture is very left-brained. It's very analytical. It's very masculine in its approach to everything. It wants everything to be in a line. Women don't think in lines. They think in spirals. We're often accused of going in circles. We're thinking the way we're built to think. Okay. It's a spiral. It's not a straight line. And the dreams often go in spirals. And they come in a pattern.
Now,
the dream is simply trying to tell you you didn't get it the first time or the second time. So think about it some more.
Okay. Well, let me say this to you with love. Everybody thought you was 5150, right? That's the code for crazy brains or mentally challenged. Did you start thinking that about yourself at a particular point?
That I was mentally challenged? I thought I was crazy for sure.
Yeah.
But I was very much worried that I was losing my mind, because the nightmares just went on and on and on for so many years. And I've since learned that nightmares are very, very powerful, but you can't ignore them. You have to deal with them. Mm-hmm. Right. And the falling in the dream was the descent to the unconscious, but I never knew that till I read a lot about dreams, and I learned that dream when I landed, I descended to the unconscious. I descended to the basement of my world. Dreams often come in three levels. They come as an attic, or a middle, a living room, or a basement. The basement is your unconscious. The living room is where you live. That's your normal daily life. And then your attic is your spirituality. It's where that's where there you know the chakras. You know that the top chakra is your wisdom chakra, and that's where your God symbols will appear. Is your in the spiritual unconscious, I guess you could call it.
So we've talked about the dream that I told you that I've had about taking the photograph. And I did have that reoccurring dream after I spoke to you. And I asked for a different outcome. I had read somewhere, I don't know if it was online or in a book, but after speaking to you, I did see that you can ask to change the outcome of your dream. And I did, and it was different. I approached the point of taking the photograph, but I didn't actually snap the picture, and I was okay with it. It was like I asked. I don't really kind of remember exactly what happened in the end with all of that, but it was very different. I didn't have that same anxiety when I woke up. I felt relieved. So if you write down your dreams, you remember it, and you kind of analyze it and ask for a different outcome, is that possible?
You can actually change the dream if you write out the outcome that you want. You can imagine a different outcome. Let's say you wanted to take a picture but then you decided, no, I don't need that picture. I need a different picture. I'm looking at the picture on the wall behind you. Now that's a beautiful, beautiful root. It's a root. Maybe I don't know what
Actually, look, it's a woman. Okay.
That's an abstract dream. That's a very much the shoulders of a woman. Is it the shoulders?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to, if that's the dream that you're having, let's say you don't like those shoulders, you want them to be perfect. So you draw the way the shoulders you want them to come out as. Shoulders in a dream have a different meaning than any other part of the body. What are shoulders for?
To support you.
They support you.
Mm-hmm.
They create you can stand up straight or you can slump over. Your shoulders are very strong. They carry things. What are you carrying in the dream? Are you carrying a burden? Do you want to get rid of that burden? I have no idea what's in that backpack.
Right.
Perhaps that backpack. I had a dream one time. My daughter was in the dream. She was a very small child. She was carrying my backpack. Well, as I got closer to her, she took the backpack off, and I laid this backpack down. It burned up, and it just burned up into nothing. And I figured out from that was the burden I was carrying, and it burned up. I didn't need it anymore. That was the big burden I was carrying on my shoulders. So that dream, I just woke up. I felt so good. It wasn't even funny. I realized I've been carrying that burden since I was 12 years old. I didn't need that burden anymore.
Wow. So now people say, I'm a big dreamer. I'm a wishful dreamer. You can also manifest in your dreams. I know that I listen to some hypnosis sometimes when I go to sleep at night, and I feel that it really penetrates me. But once I fall asleep and I get into the REM sleep, because I use my CPAP brains. Yes, I have a CPAP. And I get in that REM sleep, baby, and it is all good. So you can not like it and not use it if you want to, but you are missing out. And I get into that deep sleep, and it is absolutely wonderful. But the REM sleep is the deepest form of sleep that you can get into. And I feel that when I listen to these tapes, it is really penetrating my mind. Even though I'm asleep, it's still talking to me. Sleep is a form of unconsciousness.
It's a form of unconsciousness, but we have to be careful because sleep is, we're actually not aware of what's happening, but that's not important. We have to sleep. Our body needs a rest.
Right.
It regenerates itself during sleep. That's why we often redream the day. So that's the way for our minds to actually settle what happened during the day. So we may dream about part of our day, or we may not. We may have dreams about something entirely different than the day. But it depends on what our body really needs, what we're trying to remember. If we're trying to remember what happened during the day, so then the dream, it may reinvestigate that. It may go through that day again. Maybe you missed something. Maybe you've forgotten something for that day.
Right.
It'll bring back part of that day.
Right. So now again, wishful thinking and daydreaming and manifesting. You want something. My mentor would always tell me, okay, April, dream as if it's already happened, as if it is a snapshot, if it is something that has already occurred in your life, that is already embedded in your memory. Is that some programming that we can do?
I don't know. I've never worked with that kind of programming. My dreams are they come to me naturally, and I don't believe in controlling my dreams. I think that's our North American way of controlling everybody thing that happens. And I don't think I would have ever been able to heal my depression if I would have tried to control the outcome, because I didn't have a clue what I've never told anybody, or I told it in my books, what really happened to me, why I was having these nightmares. I had been molested as a pre-verbal child. That's a deep trauma for a child. And that's what was causing the nightmares. And if you read Daniel Kelshin, he talks about that in 3 different books. He talks about healing. He talks about how our brain or whatever is doing all this dreaming. It puts a small child in a part of us that's very, very, very distant from us, in a deep unconscious part of us, and make sure that it's safe. And so that's why I had to access that deep unconscious part of me. And that was only done through the dream work. I couldn't control that because I didn't know what the heck I was looking for.
Wow. And you didn't remember it because you were so young.
I didn't remember it because I was pre-verbal. You have no way to even explain it. You have no words. That came to me in a vision during a meditation. And my inner voice told me what had happened. Wow. And it told me that I was given the gift of compassion and forgiveness. And that man just disappeared from my whole life. He dissipated, and I forgave him. My kids were quite upset with that when they read my book. They said, "Mom, don't you think you need to do something about that?" I said, "No, it's over with now. I've forgiven this." It's as though, if anybody's talked about pre-life experiences, we make a birth plan with somebody before we're ever born.
That's right.
Birth plan, we have to figure out that birth plan, why we came to the planet. Absolutely. I came to the planet because I had agreed that we had agreed together that he would do this and I would forgive him. And that was a birthing plan. I didn't realize that till I was 43 years old. I spent the rest of my life working on compassion and forgiveness.
Now, you said that you did a lot of counseling and therapy work.
I did a lot of therapy work. I was my own therapist mostly until I finally, by 1993, I had reached I'm not too sure what I had reached. I was still manifesting some kind of psychological issues. I was workaholic, and I was constantly worried that I wasn't doing enough. Anyway, I started to go to a psychologist, and she taught me more about dreams than anyone else ever. I've never gone to a counselor before that or after that, actually. She was a psychological, I'm not even going to remember the right name, a neuropsychologist, not just a regular psychologist, but a neuropsychologist. So she understood the brain and how we function. Anyway, she taught me a lot about dreams.
How do they do that? I mean, how can they assess a dream? Is it by patterns? Is it by frequency? Is it by brain waves? Is it by hypnotherapy? How do they uncover a dream? I've always wondered that. You see these dream books and they have these interpretations like, you dream of a snake and don't worry about it because it's a shedding, a new beginning. Who comes up with this stuff?
Well, what comes up is your inner world. And we don't know much about the inner world except through our dream studies. And they have done a massive amount of research into dream work. I've got books and books and books about dream work. If you want to study dream work, you go and buy Marion Woodman's books, because she studied it right from the ground up. She's written tons of books. One of them is called Leaving Your Father's House, which is women leaving their patriarchal God world and going into their own feminine world, and how it means to understand the feminine energy, which is very different than masculine energy. And if you want to know what's going on in the world right now, you can read about it in many places. It's happening is because the feminine is returning. The
Right.
feminine was kind of eradicated from our culture for after Genesis was written, when in 325, when Constantine took over, he became he was the Roman emperor, and he decided he wanted to join the Christians. So according to the theory, he had a bit of a vision, and he saw a cross. So he took up the crucifixion as the story of Christianity, and that's become the major story of Christianity. But we've discovered a lot since Nag Hammadi in 1945, and there's been many different parchment stories that were found, and they've finally been deconstructed in the last 25 years or so. You can read all about that. It's the rise of the feminine. It talks about Mary Magdalene and the Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Thomas. And Thomas says, if you bring forth within you, if you do not bring forth what is within you will kill you. And so that's why dream work has become so popular in the last maybe 25 years, maybe 30 years. But there was a lot written when I began this dream work. I've only written 3 books about it, and I'm not a trained psychologist. I've had no training other than what I've read.
You've got all the training that you need because you have a lived experience. You got a testimony.
Exactly. That's what everybody tells me.
And that's far more valuable than someone sitting there analyzing somebody else.
And you cannot, I know I've read this many times, you cannot know what another person's dream means. The only person who can actually interpret your dreams, I can help you, but I can only do that by asking you questions. I can help you understand symbolism because I've got a background, I've studied a lot of symbolism, but I cannot tell you what your dream means. You are the best interpreter of your dreams. I run dream writer myth circles, dream reader myth circles. I started that after COVID. I had a group of women who approached me, they wanted some help reading my books. They wanted to talk to me about my books. So I said, okay, we'll meet every Tuesday night or whenever for an hour and a half. Any questions you have, I'll answer you about my books. So we began, and they began to tell me their dreams. So we began this sharing circle, which I always started with, if this were my dream, and one person in the circle tells what their dream is, everybody in the circle then can go around and they say, well, if that was my dream, it might mean this or that. You never say it means this or that because you don't know. You always say to the person, it might mean this. If that was my dream, it might mean that. So that gives the person a lot of different ideas. So then that gets them thinking, and until they go, aha, they haven't got the right interpretation yet. As soon as you feel it in your body, you know when it's right.
You know what's scary is when you have a dream and it comes to fruition.
Comes with which?
It comes to fruition. It comes true. And again, it's like, okay, have I been thinking about this? Is this my destiny? I've had a lot of dreams that have come through. Right. And or this was a strange one. I had the same dream as someone else the same night.
That's very unusual.
We shared a dream. I was in her dream and she was in my dream. And we just happened to be having a conversation. It was my coach. And we just happened to be having a conversation. And I said, I had a download, because people call dreams downloads also. I said, I had a download of XYZ happening. And she goes, were you on stage? Oh my God, I was there too. And that was like, so that lets you know that there is a harmonious energy, a frequency, a charge, an alignment.
What I would say is we are all connected.
Wow.
And you will find that you have the same dream across miles and miles and miles. It's not often that you have a precognitive dream. A lot of people think they're dreaming for someone else. You never dream for anyone else. You dream for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
because if you're, that might have been you were having a similar dream because you'd had a similar conversation that day. You'd had a conversation about whatever. So you eat, both of you were, but you, it was not exactly the same, I'm going to bet. It was
Well, no,
probably
I mean, because again, she had her own part to play in it. I had my own part to play in it. But what was so odd and unusual is that we were at the same place, the same time, the same night, and we were together.
exactly.
So that was what was so odd about it. And I was like, wow, this is, this is pretty heavy. Let's talk
So
about again, you know, um, the fear of a nightmare. People say that you can't die in your sleep because of that. I don't know. You can have some pretty scary stuff going on.
but I don't think it will actually kill you.
Oh, okay.
I've never read anything that says that a dream can actually kill you. In fact, you can dream of, if you dream of killing someone else or killing yourself, it's usually more about what is ending in your life.
Mm.
What's usually ending, or you have a dream of a baby, it usually means what are you trying to create? Are you trying to create a new project? I mean, well, I dream of babies when I'm 75 years old. I'm not having any babies, I'll guarantee you, but I might be ready to have a new project.
Right, right. A new beginning. Yeah. Or
And
the dream of the snake. People, you're shedding something. People
you're usually
or
getting something, but
black cats. That's where's a good place to go? Of course, your books, but where's a good place to go to interpret dreams outside of Google?
no, I would never go to Google. I would recommend that you ask yourself what's the symbolism in that dream. The first thing I usually do with the dream is I circle the nouns.
Hmm.
And then because a noun is a person, place, or thing. And it's you normally it's a symbol. So there's a tree in your dream. What do trees mean in your world? What do trees mean in poetry? What do we write about trees? There's the world tree. There's a tree in the Garden of Eden, and there's a lot of trees in spirituality. In spiritual circles, trees are very meaningful. We have Christmas trees. They're everlasting life. So we have green spruce trees because they're everlasting. They don't die. They live for a long time. And they actually mean everlasting life because they never shed, they may shed their needles. Evergreen trees don't shed their needles. Pine trees shed their needles. But the very first dream I had of a pine tree, I went out into the front porch of my home, and I was having a terrible morning, and I said to myself, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to meditate. So I just closed my eyes, and pretty soon the whole world lit up. It became transparent, and there was the mugo pine, just you could see right through it, and it was gorgeous. But it transformed in my dream, and I knew then that I had touched into something very deep within myself. I got up, I had more energy than I'd ever had before in my life. I had 3 kids, and I was had a full-time career. I went about cleaning my house and doing everything you need to do on a Saturday when you're a career mother. And I had no energy when I got up that morning, and sitting on that front porch and just imagining that I was filled with energy took away all the bad feelings I had. I felt 100% that day. But that was from the dream, or from actually manifesting a deep energy. The energy of that tree, the roots of that tree just lived in me from that day forward. And that's what I mean by everlasting life. And the trees they mean a lot. If you dream about a black cat, our culture says it's unlucky, but it doesn't have to be unlucky. Only if you believe that it's unlucky.
Right.
But
And
we
it's
know that
rooted in our
cats,
belief system too. It is very deep rooted in our belief system, our religious doctrine, what we have been told. How do you comfort children when they have bad dreams?
I've actually had that call from a mom with her kids saying, can you work with my child? I said, you can work with your own child. Just give that child a big piece of chart paper and ask him to draw the dream. And especially with his left hand, if you're right-handed, draw it with your left hand. And then imagine that you know what that dream, or what all those curly cues mean. Imagine if you draw your dream, it looks like a cat, or it looks like a hole, or it looks like a dog, or it looks like whatever. Your dream is usually about that. It's not about what the nightmare was about. What is the nightmare in? What does a scarred face possibly mean to you? Someone would have asked me, I might have said, I have an inner scar. I have a scar inside of me. This comes from a man. what scar. I wouldn't have known what the scar was all about, but I might have imagined what it was about. And if I had if my mom actually knew me really well, she might say, well, it could mean this or it could be that. What does a scar mean down your face? It means an inner scar of some kind. What's a face mean in your dream? When you're looking at a face, what do we look at people? We look at their eyes, we look at their cheeks, we look at how their face is formed. We look at if it's a happy face or a sad face. We look at the symbology of faces. And those faces, if you go, the only book I ever consult is called A Book of Symbols. It's an archetypal book, and it's collected from all over the world. That's why I never go with a dream dictionary, because that's one person's very small interpretation. But an archetypal dream is the big fancy dreams that people have, that where it just profound. You never forget that. It just scar it. You internalize that whole dream. Like I could tell you forever about certain dreams. That I had a dream on the September 17th, 2017.
Mm.
And it was a dream that bolted me right upwards in my bed. I sat up because this voice said, I am the divine feminine. And at that moment I was seeing a kaleidoscope of greens. That's what became the cover of my third book, called The Cauldron of the Feminine, because I was working on the feminine really hard. And that was how I was manifesting in my dreams that work that I was doing on the cauldron of the feminine. The cauldron has, I mean, you've heard the witches brew, where they stir and stir and stir. Well, the witch is that's the ancient signal of women. That's the power of women. The witches were burned in the 13th century. That's because the patriarchy got so worried about these wise women. They were very wise women, but they owned a lot of property. They were usually widows, and they were widowed, left their property by their husbands. In any case, the church or whatever really wanted that property, so they got rid of the women, and they burned over 1 million women at the stake.
Mm.
And you can read about that. It's a big thing in goddess-based religion.
Wow.
And it's just so profound. It's so deep.
So it goes back so far, brains, and it's more than just closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. It's really relaxing. It's really talking to the subconscious mind, uncovering things, asking the question.
Exactly. You can ask a question when
That's
you're
the
going to
most
sleep.
ask the question before you close your eyes, before you go to sleep. And if you do have a dream at night, wake up and write it down.
Exactly.
Systematically, don't overthink it.
No, don't. Thinking doesn't count very much. It's imagining. It's imagining what the possible meaning is. When you ask yourself the minute you wake up, what's the question the dream is asking me?
Hmm.
Because it's usually asking you a question. It's asking you about what you do not understand. It's asking you to go and find out something that you've missed in your reading. It's giving you if you're doing a big project, it's giving you maybe the next steps. And you have to say to it, what are you trying to tell me?
Right.
And then you just write whatever you think the answer is. And you write as quickly as you can. You do not ever censor what you're writing.
Okay.
If you murder someone in a dream, you write that down.
Right.
Because it's not that you're going to murder that person. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen. But what are you trying to get rid of?
That murder might be kill a situation, kill a
It might be to
relationship,
kill a situation, exactly.
kill a financial burden. That murder doesn't necessarily actually mean. I know I had a dream one time that someone had drowned, and we were going on vacation, and I was a nervous wreck. I said, oh, this person is going to drown on this dream. I haven't had this dream, blah, blah, blah. But what I found out is that person was over their head in a certain situation, that they were submerged in something. So they were drowning. As a metaphor, they were drowning, and they were not literally going to drown.
No.
I was telling you, I was so glad when I got back from that vacation. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go near no water. It was strange. It was strange. So now let's ask some fun questions of you, Pearl Gregor. If I came to visit you there in Edmonton, where would you take me?
I would probably take you to the zoo.
Hmm.
Because that's the animals are very powerful in dreams. What would be the first animal you would want to see in the Edmonton Zoo?
An elephant.
An elephant. So why do you want to see an elephant?
Because, well, a couple reasons is I know that it's my spirit animal. It was given to me by a shaman, but it's symbolism, it's strength. It's very strategic about what it does. It's very prideful. It's family oriented. Um, it's loving. It's a great parent.
Very, very, very kind and very loving. It's the best mother in the on the universe. It looks after its babies. Have
Yeah.
you ever actually been in the wild, been in Africa where you saw a wild elephant?
No, I went to Thailand and I went to the elephant sanctuary and I got to feed her and I got to wash her and I looked into her eyes, Pearl, and she talked to me. She told me a story. I don't know if I was her before, she was me, but I looked into her eyes. They had to call for me because I was hypnotized by what she was saying to me,
Exactly.
metaphorically, and so, yeah, and they never forget. They never forget.
They don't forget anything. Everything is retained in their memory.
And the things they can do with that cotton picking trunk is amazing.
They can pick up a peanut with their trunk.
Pick up a peanut, and all they do is eat. They in 24 hours, and they're eating 16 of them. Yes, absolutely. But it was beautiful. If you were a flower in the garden, what flower would you be?
I want to be a rose
Oh, why?
because it's got the most beautiful perfume. It's the most beautiful flower in the whole garden. I was a gardener for many, many years. I owned my own farm. My husband passed away in the year 2000, and I lived on the farm until last September. I was on the farm alone for 24 years. I absolutely loved my farm.
Hmm.
The biggest nightmare of my life was leaving that farm, I can tell you.
I can imagine. I can imagine, and all the memories there. But those are still planted in the earth.
They're still planted in the earth. The earth is very important.
The next generation is going to go there, and there's going to be some kids, and they're going to cultivate the earth. And again, your spirit will rise up, your husband's spirit, all the good memories, all the good fragrances. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be, ma'am?
Probably a kettle
A kettle? Why?
because it's boiling.
I get it.
Because you just plug it in and it boils very quickly.
Absolutely. I'd probably be the air fryer because it's easy, it's new, it's trendy, it needs just a little bit of oil, it gets things crispy, keeps it juicy. Yeah, that's what I'd be. I'd be the air fryer.
I don't even own an air fryer, so I wouldn't know if I wanted one or not.
Oh, ask for one. Maybe, maybe Father Christmas, that's what you guys call it there. Maybe he'll bring you one. They're very, very, you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. Um, if you could time travel, go back to the past, project to the future, stay here in the present, where would you land?
I would land in Rome.
Hmm. In what time period? In the past, present, or in the future?
In the past, I would like to go and see what it was like in the year 1200, for example.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I went to Pompeii, and it was pretty interesting too. It was to see where the gladiators actually, performed, and how they bathed, and how they loved each other, how they took care of each other, how how Caesar, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
I would love to go and listen to whoever was speaking on the streets in Rome in 1200 BC or
Wow.
1200 AD.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
I'd probably be a Pontiac
A Pontiac. I haven't heard people talk about Pontiacs in a long time. Why you like Pontiac?
because that was the first car I ever owned. It
Okay.
was a
Oh,
two-door hardtop.
all right. That's good. And what would you tell a person right now that's struggling with they're having nightmares, or they're having reoccurring dreams? What would you tell them to do or encourage them?
I
Um,
would encourage them to go home and write down what's happening in their world, what's bothering them the most. And then I would ask them to ask for a dream, to ask for a dream until you actually remember a dream. I will remember a dream tonight. And you put your journal beside your bed together with a night light, something that when you wake up, the minute you wake up, you can actually reach over and you can turn on a small flashlight or some kind of a light. And then the first thing you do is you write down your dream, and you write it without any censorship. You don't have to cross out any words. You just write the way it comes up. Write as fast as you can. And then in the morning when you wake up, the first thing you try to do is tell yourself that dream so you remember what it was all about. If you have a trusted partner, somebody that's not going to start telling you, well, the dream means this or that, somebody that will actually listen when you tell them something and doesn't imagine that they know what your dream means, but somebody who's a trusted confidant and won't start talking about it the minute you have company or something like that, because your dreams are confidential to you, because they tell you a lot about yourself. But I would be the first thing I would say is ask for a dream.
All right. Well, nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream.
No.
And you want it to be insightful, in alignment, understandable, and to your highest and greatest good. Again, we're going to have some nightmares, just like challenges in our life. They're going to happen. But what does that mean? And how do we deal with that? Thank you so much, Pearl Gregor, for being back here on the show with me. I love you so much. And please tell my brains how to get in contact with you. We're going to put up pictures of all three of your books. Brains, fascinating read, wonderful gift for someone.
Can I just say one thing for people? The first thing you do is you can go to my Facebook page, which is called Dreams Along the Way. And there, if you go to Dream Writers Myth Circles, you can join me in it. For the 19th of January will be the first Dream Circle. You can sign up for a Dream Circle. I only accept 8 people. That's so everybody gets a chance to tell their dream in an hour and a half, so that we can go around the room and everybody can participate. You get a chance to talk to other people who are dreamers, and we'll work together. And I always start out, if this were my dream. So you get to learn to interpret, and you get to learn what other people are dreaming about. And you can ask me as many questions as you like in that hour and a half. You can sign up on my dream web page or my Facebook page. Both of them are called Dreams Along the Way.
Okay, brains, we want to dream. We want to continue to dream the impossible dream. All right. So thank you so much. Go and listen to other edgy conversations here on The Edge. Become a subscriber. We are on all of the major hotspots. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Our podcast is on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple, Podbean, everywhere you need to be, even in your dreams. Thank you, Pearl. I appreciate you.
And I thank you for asking. That's just delightful. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, bye-bye.